Hello, AOS fans! It's the Agents of Sigmar. And in this episode, we'll be asking, is it all Nova? There's been lots of talk, mainly fueled by our brilliant videos, about whether Underworlds is cancelled.
It's cancelled!
Whether it's going to be changed, whether it's going to come out as 40k. I love it when we do a video and then 6 hours later in the Facebook chat you see somebody post, is Underworld's going to turn to 40k.
We see it sometimes on Reddit, or there'll be something on one of the Discords.
But enough about us. We don't actually think Underworlds is finishing. I've had little nagging doubts and little worries. To us, and obviously it's our favourite game, it's the most important thing to us, and it clearly isn't to GW, but I just feel like they don't really know what they're doing.
No, we'd hoped that Nova was coming up, and we hadn't heard anything for so long that we were going to get some information at Nova, and then they released their big spread on all the things they were going to be covering, and it just wasn't on there.
Well, some people posted replies on their Facebook page, is Underworld, is there going to be any Underworlds? And they do that sort of non-committal, or rather committal, but doesn't really say anything. Oh, there'll be more news soon.
Coming soon.
That kind of thing. And the thing that's been nagging at me is this is meant to be a competitive game. Yeah. It's meant to be a miniatures-based collectible card game, really.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a collectible card game anymore because you don't have to chase cards, but in its spirit, it is a regular release collectible card game, and those games thrive on dependability and consistency. Well, my son's really big into Pokemon. He knows well in advance the suite of cards that's coming. Maybe not all of them, I'm not quite sure, I haven't dealt, but they know what the sets are coming, they know when they're going to come out, and they know what to expect, they know which bits are going to rotate out. If they don't talk about it enough and they don't release it consistently enough, people who are just partially in will wander off, and if they wander off, then they'll take some of the regulars with them to whatever new game they're going to. Any momentum that has been built up, they did build up quite a head of momentum going into Death Gorge, and a lot of excitement, a lot of tournaments started, and it was really quite good, and people were coming in. Meta Watch, and they were like, this is all brilliant stuff. It's just kind of...
Obviously, we did talk about this in our other video, that they did give us a whole load of stuff. Like at the end of April time, we got the new box, we got 4 redone warbands and all that stuff. So it really wasn't that long ago, but it really does highlight that in this kind of game, you need to keep talking about it. Like you say, you've got to keep having stuff on the horizon. Like every time they release a new warband, as soon as they've announced it, people are almost talking about the next one before they've even got it, because people need to know what the next thing is. And it doesn't take everybody, because it only takes one person to panic, they cause other people to panic, and the minute there's that doubt sown,
or even if you like it and you really enjoy Underworlds and you don't listen to that, you just will start to think, oh, all these other collectible card games, this Star Wars Unlimited's come out and Lorcana's doing great guns. It's like, well, actually that's being regularly supported. It's got my local game stores doing tournaments for that because they support that kind of thing, and so you just think, oh well, I've got £100 in my back pocket to spend this 3 months, I'm going to spend it on that because it's going on. And I also feel like, you're going back to what you were saying about all the releases, that is classic GW. They release this stuff when it's convenient for them, but it's kind of like, oh well, we've got this box with all these 4 old warbands that we're going to redo, we're just going to throw them at you with everything else. It's like, well, we don't actually want that. It doesn't feel very good as a consumer. It's like, here's a load of stuff, blah! You're like, and then they don't come back for 6 months. That's not what we want from this game.
And lots of other companies on a much bigger scale also handle this much better. And they can keep that stuff going. So there's not really that much of an excuse for GW to not get a bit more organised with this, other than the fact that they just don't care about it enough to want to.
I think they just don't want to. And I think it doesn't fit the way they run. Everybody plays to their schedule, and that's how their big games work. And it doesn't matter, because that's how it's always been. How the meta works is key to Underworlds, and people are always wondering what new design space is going to be opened up, and that's part of the thrill, I think, of playing it. And as soon as there isn't any design space opened up, you wander off and go and find a game where that is changing.
Everybody's interested in the next warband, whether it's a death warband or a destruction warband or order. It doesn't matter, everyone's interested in it,
because everybody's going to pick it up, everybody's probably going to play it, everybody's going to want to know what rivals deck it comes with, how that's going to change everything. And I think we do kind of cry out for little changes already. I feel like, oh, I've got this tournament coming up, which is going to be great, but it's kind of like it's all going to be Ryan, not Relics and Hungering Parasite.
It does feel a bit like
kind of like that's something else to be shaking it up. But I also think Underworld suffers. It's quite weird. Its strongest selling point for me is that it's very easy to get into. So you can invest, £100, and you've got a couple of warbands and a couple of rivals decks, and you can play with that quite easily. It also means you haven't invested very much up front. If something else shiny comes along, your attention's quickly shifted to that. Whereas if you've bought a big, like if you just bought the Skaven type box and you bought some other Stormcasters to flush that out, you then are going to build all that, paint all that, and that's it. You're not going to go, oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to pay 40k.
Well, unless your name's Matt. But maybe. But yeah, there's a lot of people out there, once they've made that initial sort of commitment, they're like, I'm playing this freaking game. Yeah. I don't care what happens there. I'm playing it for a while. Whereas Underworlds, relatively for GW, it's a cheap game to get into, and therefore it's very easy to discard it afterwards. So we've been thinking about the things that they could do. We've done a video about whether it's going to get cancelled. We've done a video about what the future of it could look like. But we felt that we should do a video about what GW need to do to keep the game afloat. Because at the minute, if they want to get rid of the game, they're making a self-fulfilling prophecy by ignoring it.
It's like having a pot plant in the corner of the room and going, oh, it looks a bit dead.
And then not watering it.
They're not watering it. Oh, it looks a bit... They're coming in every morning, oh, it looks a bit dead. And actually, if you pour some water on it, it would thrive and take over. And
water us.
Yes. So that, yeah, we need some sugar, GW.
Yeah. So one of the things we were talking about, which we've kind of already mentioned, which is there needs to be regular information coming out. They're ideally, they should bring back MetaWatch.
Absolutely. A regular 3-monthly MetaWatch would be fantastic.
Yep.
I don't know how difficult they are to produce, but to be honest, getting 2 idiots in front of a table with a camera is pretty easy. So even if it doesn't say very much, it tells you that GW are interested in the game.
Yeah. Even if it's 10 minutes long, and they just talk about a few warbands that are doing great at the minute or the most recent releases, it still makes you feel seen.
Oh, and also Nick and John's enthusiasm for the game makes you think, oh yeah, it is such a good game. It is a unique little game, and you know, there's a small corner of GW that loves it.
And along with the theme of regularity would be things like FAQs and erratas.
Yeah, they have just brought one out, but the problem is with GW FAQs, you never really know when they're going to come along. It's like trying to get a bus on a country lane.
Yeah.
There might be one, there might not be. And if they were 3 monthly, and we know when they were coming, we'd know when to look forward to one, and we'd know there was an update. Even if the update was, actually the game's running pretty smoothly at the moment, we haven't done anything. That would be fine, because at least we know that we're being looked into. There's always questions. It never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah.
The sort of questions that they get asked.
The devious minds out there that come up with some of this stuff. Another problem that they probably need to address is the warband issue.
Now, we've done a video about this before, and I know a lot of you out there don't think there's a warband issue, so you may just want to skip through this. I feel like, particularly for new players, having 60 warbands, most of which you can't buy, is just very, very confusing. It's
immediately, I think, off-putting and confusing for new players especially, and those are the ones you want to confuse and upset the least in a game. You've got like 30% of them you can't ever buy. You're going to have to go to eBay and just hope. There's about a third of them that you can probably buy from LGFSs and stuff like that, but not official GW stores. And then there's about maybe a third at the minute that you could actually buy from Games Workshop. But I think it's probably even less than a third right now. And you're looking at some boxes like Gnarlwood are just gone. And that's a really negative experience.
Yeah, what I would really like to see them do, and I could see them having no chance of them doing this, because they've also taken out the warbands from AOS. So that was quite a nice way. You could use your warbands in AOS, and now they've moved to Legends. So what I would like to see them do is they could have kept producing the models and then said you can print and play the cards.
Yeah.
That to me would be a really radical thing for GW to do, but it would really keep the game going, I think. They're not losing any money there because you can't buy the things anyway.
Exactly, and I don't think it's that radical, because every time they bring out a new version of 40k or AOS, they bring out all of the cards in PDF format and go print them out, go nuts. Why not do it for this stuff that we can't actually buy anymore? It hurts literally nobody, but it might keep people enthused because they might get proxies, print the cards out, and now they're going to be playing Gerzag's Iron Skulls, because why not?
I don't know whether it's true, but everybody talks about the fact that the cards are printed in China and the stuff is made over here, and that's where the problem comes. If they divorce that from later iterations, you've got your initial iteration, which obviously all works when they go out, but if you divorce that later, you can keep people using that product, especially if you sell the miniatures without the cards. I don't understand why they don't do that.
GW and their card stock management is historically terrible. In every game we've played that has a card stock involved, it's woeful. We'll
get around the problem, which I think is people really don't like, but you and I would like to see, which is actually that they culled some of the older warbands. If they were easily available, I would feel less like they should cull them. But because they aren't, like the Crimson Court, you're playing the Crimson Court at the moment, they're really solid. They've got some really good builds, but they're like hen's teeth. You know, you can't find them, and that's not really very fair to a newcomer. Just say, right, these guys have gone to legend status. Maybe we'll run legends tournaments where they're valid. Maybe we'll run seasons where particular legends are allowed to play in the thing. But you make them legends status, and people can choose to obviously to play the clubs or at home or whatever. But for GW official run tournaments,
you can't use them. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of people watching this will probably say, but you can print these cards out. You can do that now. You can go to Underworlds DB or Wonderworlds or anywhere like that. You can get them. But But that's all fan-centric and reliant, and I think GW should be stepping up here and going, here you go, here are higher quality, better versions of it that you can, that are already sized properly. You can do it using this PDF or whatever, because I think that they owe us that much.
The problem you have with like the piecemeal fan-led printing out is that they're probably not valid in tournaments. Because if GW did it, they could say, we're doing this, and they're still valid, so go for your life and play them in tournaments. People immediately, when you've got your own printed stuff, a lot of people are like, well,
wait a minute. There's an immediate level of, oh, I'm not 100% sure if I trust this. Also, they could then produce the new versions of cards that they errata and change and go, here's the updated versions. You can print them out and replace the ones you've got. And then everybody would be happy.
Because we have done the FAQing problem video as well, and I do feel that GW probably could be accused of having a one-sided relationship with a lot of their customers. I just kind of feel like, again, having seen it on the Pokemon side of things and the stuff that they do for even the little tournaments, GW need to give Underworlds a bit more love. The community for the getting people to the table and rewarding them for getting them to the table. Little prizes, they don't have to have like a whole set of glass things. Some free stuff. Because there's nothing Underworld players love more. As we know from our tournaments, they love nothing more than free stuff. Little tokens. They don't even have to be acrylic tokens. Cardboard printout tokens, activation tokens. People love those. The alt art cards, all of that kind of stuff. But also, you were saying about how in Pokemon they do like advanced events as well. Yeah, they do. They do pre-releases. You could do a pre-release tournament where you're going to get the new warbands. 2 new warbands that come out this day. Order them from your local game shop. Turn up, play a game. Win a prize. I guess you've got the building issue. The very first Warhammer Underworlds tournament was the day they released the Orcs and the Skeletons. So, it's not like they haven't done that in the past. No, they do that. And if they don't have space in their stores, which I think is partly why they don't do it. But you could, a game store could say, right, you turn up at 9, you get your box. At 10 o'clock, you've got an hour to build your models. At 10 o'clock, you play. Bring clippers. And off you go, because they don't need any glue or anything. No, they push fit. It's a little pre-release event with maybe some alt art cards, like you say, if it goes to pre-release. Just something to get people excited about, and then you could know the pre-release for this is going to be in September, so you know that it's coming, and you can put it in your diary and look forward to it and get excited about it. And also including people like us, the social media aspect of things, the YouTubers and people blogging about it and stuff, getting us more involved early on in the process to help build that hype train. I know that they send us stuff and they send it to us, I'm going to say early, maybe a week early, something like that sometimes. But if they could get us involved earlier, we could get more stuff done on their behalf as well. Yeah, again, another thing a lot of card games do is that they do spoilers. So they give a spoiler to, or a couple of cards to different content providers. So it builds that hype of, Agents of Sigmar have got ready for action! Or something like that. Critical Focus Channel get something else, and Aman and his guys get something else, and then it all builds a tapestry that people then get excited about, get people talking about it. Something that GW clearly aren't particularly interested in doing, but I think I feel for Underworlds they did a different strategy to how they do for their other games. Underworlds is a niche of a niche, and it needs more love. It needs more attention to keep its community growing and thriving. Even small things like they do Warhammer community posts, but they don't do them very often. And when they do their own pre-release spoilers, it's different every time. And even if they didn't change how they interact with us, we never know, is it worth doing a complete spoiler of the cut deck? Or are GW going to release it on the on the 30? So we spend the week that we've got with the stuff doing a video that then GW then spoil. And we go, oh, well, they did that last time, so we won't do that this time. And then they don't do it. So then you would have found it useful if we'd done a video on that. But we haven't done it because we didn't know GW were going to do it. So even again, consistency. If we knew exactly what they were going to do when they were going to release it, we would know what we could make to complement. Now, I'm sure somebody who's a bit more pessimistic, like myself, might look at all this and go, well, they don't do all that because they don't care. They just don't care enough about the game. And I guess our argument is they should care more, and they need to work on those aspects that we've talked about in order to improve the game. Yes, because I think they've got an incredibly loyal fan base. They've got a really, really good game, which a lot of people love. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I don't really know what goes on inside Warhammer World. And we probably never will, but no, such is life. So hopefully you found this video useful and entertaining. And if you did, please do click like and click subscribe. Yep, don't forget to ring that bell so you get all the notifications on new stuff on the channel. And if you've got anything you'd like to add, do stick it in the comments below. Yes, lots and lots of people have got lots of really good ideas. So maybe we'll do a video in future weeks about some of those ideas, because there's some really good ones. Some of the comments are keeping these videos going. Every time we do one of these videos, someone says something and we think, oh, we should do a video about that. Absolutely, so yes. Yeah, thank you for the free inspiration. Yeah.
So we'll see you soon, maybe in the Underworlds. Bye.